So my name's Matt Gaffney, so I run Enindico. So Enindico has been set up to help on the evolution of businesses and careers. Part of what I do through Enindico is career evolution coaching, and I'm privileged to work in elite sport and, among other things, work with a number of Australian and state level cricketers. I've run a structured coaching program with them where there's a trio of workshops they undertake, and it helps them progressively brainstorm what have they done so far and what could they do longer term, what do they want to prioritise, and how they might put a plan in place to actually go about achieving what they want to do around and beyond the elite playing field. I think there's a number of challenges. One, the remuneration profile that they've been used to being on national and or state contracts and Big Bash and the like, where they've been on a good wicket, and suddenly they might be looking at roles that pay a fraction of that. Not having sort of set up a lot of connectivity for their life beyond the playing field, so they get to the end of a playing career at the state level and then say, oh, I better start talking to some people in business, as opposed to starting to form those relationships whilst they're playing. And really getting ahead of the curve and starting to get a sense of what sorts of things could engage them beyond playing. Another role in cricket may well be part of the mix, but it doesn't need to be the path of last resort on the basis of I don't know any other space. Let's help more of those players make that as an informed call that they want to coach or get into administration or management and the like. Part of it is getting them to really assess, Avian, around what have they done so far and what interests them, or where some skills and experience have been, and even elements of their journey through cricket, some of the things that are adaptable to other phases of life. So if someone identifies whether it's a trade they might have done going back away, some tertiary studies, or even if they've finished schooling, they haven't done anything else, but some of the life experiences that come with their cricket. For example, one of the cricketers with whom I worked had a prominence at one point in the Indian Premier League. So something we explored was, could there be more of an interest in Indian life and India and trade between the individual's home state and India, where it could be, whether it's an ambassador for trade efforts, just as part of a portfolio. It wouldn't be a full-time job, but just saying you've got some connectivity into India many of us would only dream of. Why don't you think about what that could be? Doesn't mean he has to do it, but it just gives him a chance to explore something a little bit different. I've been involved in over 100 coaching programs now, of which 20 have been in sport and a dozen with cricketers. And I'd have to say there've been over 100 different journeys. So everyone's different. Sometimes even within the program you get different mindsets based on the sort of frame of mind people come into the workshop in. Something that's become more prominent in the work I do is encouraging the players to get their partners involved in the discussions. And of the 3 workshops we do, saying that if you'd like to get them involved, the second one will be the one that makes most sense. And the vast majority of players are taking me up on that at the moment. And I must admit, their partners in many cases saying, thank God you're here, but also have some fantastic perspectives, one on some of the sacrifices they've made around the cricketers' playing, training and travelling commitments over a long period of time. But secondly, some of them have put careers of their own on hold. They've been juggling little people. They've got aspirations to go back to school or going back into the paid external workforce. And so it actually helps contribute to what the two of them can take away and be richer discussions about the future for the two of them and any children that might be in the mix at that point in time. There's some key things I try and embed in people. One is making sure they have a sense of their own values, the way they seek to conduct themselves and the way they like others to conduct themselves around it, because I think it goes to the heart of the right organisations and environments in which they can work over time. Get a sense of their use by date, so be realistic on what the prospects are for renewal of a contract, getting a Big Bash gig, getting an IPL gig, and getting a Cricket Australia contract, and working around a pragmatic take on that. And either start making some plans to build some new skills and experience, so that by the time the use by date comes, you've got a better chance of controlling that use by date and making the call yourself with some things you can do. It's looking at the market, current market needs and future market needs. So if there's a space out there and you say, I've always been fascinated about X, and X happens to be in high demand, how do you actually quickly build your skills so that the transition from playing cricket into that space can align with something that's in the marketplace, so it's in demand, there's roles available, there's roles where someone who's a cricket nut's more than happy to have a chat to you about an opportunity, and it might be relatively well paying. It's making connections the whole way through your cricket career, not treating it as rolling up to a sponsor's function and going through the motions. Every time you're interacting on behalf of your club, your state, your country, is a chance for you to be an ambassador for the team you're representing and for yourself. So make a genuine interest you have a genuine interest in other people you're meeting through the course of it, whether it's sponsors, whether it's former players, people who are in and around that dynamic. It doesn't need to be a chore, but if you treat it as something where you can actually build some good connectivity, they're the sorts of people, when you call them in the years to come and say, I love what I understand you do with your business, I'd love to come out and have a look at some point, the CEO, the managing partner says, by all means, when are you coming in? So you've actually sowed the seed by conducting yourself with good grace over the journey, as opposed to waiting to being the 30-something who's all of a sudden sucking up to the people in the room because he or she needs a favour. Being connected in different ways in their hometowns as a minimum, that sense of, can it be around the cricket fraternity, can it be progressively building some more relationships into an industry or industries that interest them. So for example, if someone's got a commerce degree and they're saying, one day when I finish playing I want to work with one of the accounting and advisory firms or get into management consulting or something, don't wait till the end of it to be actually connecting with those people. You've already got some relationships with senior people in those organisations, but even better, have some relationships with people who, age-wise, are at a similar level, because they're the sorts of relationships that will help initiate discussions internally. And I've seen a number of people do it where they've actually got effectively a graduate role at 32 or 33. It's called something more senior, but part of it has been they've been very clever about building enduring relationships across a number of levels in an organisation that's of interest to them. So if they can do more of that, it means they don't get to the end. And one, there's the remuneration drop. Two, there could be the relevance deprivation syndrome. Three, it's who was that again? Oh, that's right, he or she played state cricket 3 years ago. You're not dropping off the radar between what you might be doing in the sort of professional space, what you might be doing in the cricket space. And the other one, which to me is really valuable at a number of levels, is the community space. The more that a cricketer can have a charity that he or she is involved in and is contributing to seamlessly through the journey from playing at the elite level to beyond, becomes part of their brand. And I've seen it with a number of prominent community groups and charitable organisations where they love a particular current or former sports person because the level of commitment to that organisation hasn't waived based on what's happening on or off the playing field. And so it's another way to give something back, which is good in its own right, but it's another form of visibility, and it's another form of this person must have a good heart. A former partner of mine at the firm I used to work with, at his retirement dinner, he spoke about the woodpile and always leaving more on the woodpile at the end of your visit than what was there at the start. And I think it's a really good analogy to use. And if you take that example of the community space, is invest something in it, you'll get back something emotionally and spiritually from contributing to a good cause, whether it's in health, whether it's young people at risk, whether it's the environment, whatever it happens to be. But if it's something you're passionate about, the participating cricketer will get a lot out of it, but the participating cricketer will be seen in a more positive light by more people. It's something that can then be seen as another element that can be drawn upon.